Hi, good morning, Divya.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's good afternoon. Very good afternoon to you.
I think, ma'am, we can wait for 3 minutes more,
Yes,
then we
yes.
can start.
Yes.
Shall we start, sir? I think this is
Yes,
2:30.
I think we should start. I think
Yes.
we should start.
Okay, okay. So welcome back, everyone. I think you must all had a very rejuvenating lunch break, and now we all set to immerse yourself back into our program. We had an exciting third session ahead of us, so let's get started. As a reminder, please ensure that your microphone is muted and camera is off. Some of the participants, I think by mistake, they switch on their camera. So please switch on your camera during the session. And if you have any query or question, please don't hesitate. Ask. It motivate us and speaker both. Once again, welcome back. Let's get started. So it is my delight to introduce our next speaker. Dr. Neha Bansal is an academician and professional with over 16 plus year of experience in academics and profession. He has won Best Faculty Award in 2016 in for North Zone 2016. She has been awarded as Women Excellence Award in 2021 for exemplary contribution in the area of architecture and interior design by International Leader Development Council. Presently, Dr. Neha Bansal is working as a professor and research coordinator with SRM University, Chennai. She has been guiding seven research scholars under her on aspect of environmental planning, disaster management, sustainable urban development, integrated sustainable tourism, heritage sustainability, and urban livability and resilience. She is qualified as an architect and masters in city planning from IIT Kharagpur and PhD in urban disaster management from IIT Roorkee. She passionately dedicated towards research and publication with over 36 plus publications in various international and national journal and conferences. Dr. Neha has been presented paper on compact development as land use planning tool for urban disaster management in Real Coop, Schweitzer, Austria. also presented a paper in Belgium in 2015. As a remarkable achievement, she has been on the panel of reviewers and peer reviewers for reviewing paper in international and national journal. Beside her illustrious academic career, she has been associated as a director of strategies with rapid response dedicated towards the cause of disaster resilient society. It is a registered non-profit organization based in Chennai, Tamil Nadu. She has been associated with number of urban projects along with the core input in NCR Rajasthan sub-region Regional Plan 2021 during her tenure as a consultant planner with NCRPB Jaipur. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank
Very
you so
welcome, Dr. Neha. We welcome you with all our greetings for this FDP, and the participants will be having two sessions with you today, the last third session and tomorrow's first early morning session. So I'm sure they will be very much enriched with both the two topics of indexing and referencing, as you will be delivering your expertise lecture on both of these. And we wish you all the best, and we also would like to uh, convey our regards that you have accepted our invitation and you have agreed to give your valuable time to us, so that we can be the students can be with the young generation can be enriched with your uh, expertise. Thank you so much, Dr. Neha.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you
So
all.
much, ma'am.
Thank you all of you for giving me an opportunity, first of all, to be here on this platform with so many nice and wonderful experts and with everybody else, and letting me put up my perspective or my presentation towards the researchers. Thank you so much. So I will start with this.
Sure.
Can I switch off the screen because there's a lot of lighting in my room? Is that okay? Camera?
Yes, ma'am,
Yeah,
absolutely.
sure.
Full screen. Okay. Okay. My very, very warm greetings to all those who are present here. I know it's an afternoon session, a little sleepy one. I'll try my best not to be sleepy here. So the topic which we are going to talk today is about citations and referencing in research. I have been listening to all the presentations, wonderful presentations, and I think you have a fair knowledge by this time, by the third day or the fourth day. We have enough knowledge as to what is the structure of a research, or what is the structuring of research paper, or how do we start writing a paper. So let us start directly with that, instead of going into what is research and how we have research, structuring and all. So where do we come across referencing? So the moment we talk about the last section of any research, which is the referencing, actually referencing is probably not the last section. It is an iterative and a very circular process. It starts from the beginning. So where do we come across referencing? Now, if these are some steps of your research, then we probably come across the report writing, where when we are writing, we come across the referencing part. So in report writing, we have the report structure, and the last section of report structure is where we do references and bibliography as a listing, whereas in the text we do the in-text referencing or
Madam, Dr. Neha, madam, I would just like to point out that
yeah. Am I not audible?
No, no, ma'am,
Ma'am,
you are
you are
audible.
audible, but your screen is stuck.
Not.
yeah, screen is not changing.
No. So
So
probably I think you can put up the presentation from your end.
Yes,
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 I
ma'am.
think
Sure, ma'am.
Tanima,
Okay,
you
do
can
that.
do that.
I just added one or two slides, but eventually I think that is just okay. You present it. I'll speak out.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. So to the next slide. Yes, click once. Okay, so this is the research process, and in this research process, we have a stage called report writing. Can you just click once more? It will pop up the box again. Yes, as I was talking, report writing has a defined structure, and in that structure, we have references and bibliography at the end as listed, and within the text as in citation, in text citation. Next. So, what do we actually understand by referencing? Referencing correctly is important. Referencing is an important part of academic work, and it puts your work or anybody's work in context, demonstrates its depth, as well as acknowledges everybody else's work whom we have referred. Can you click, please? Okay, so it basically is grounding. Again, can you click once again? Grounding the research idea to the existing research body. That means whatever research we want to do, we cannot just start with Einstein like an Einstein. No, an apple has fallen and then we start the research. No, everything has been done somewhere or the other, and there is some seed which has been sown for each and every aspect or domain, and from that domain when we do searching and researching, we come across the various left out or the research gaps, and then we start doing the research. And then when we do the research, we basically do what? Ground our research and to the international or national literature which is existing, and then we get an idea which we have to reference. If we do not reference in our ideas to the existing literature, it is called plagiarism. So basically the next step is to avoid plagiarism. Now plagiarism, we have heard few many times with few of the experts. Plagiarism is something which is a really bad thing for any researcher, which sounds and with really very harsh, and it is basically copying the other's work, which we might not do intentionally most of the time, but then we end up doing plagiarism. So to avoid that, we need to do referencing correctly. It also shows the understanding of the topic through arguments analysis of the others work. If you refer, and then we are talking in reference to what people have said, and we come up with a script which is giving a deep understanding of what the topic is or how do we go ahead on the topic. That is where referencing is needed. It also gives supporting evidence to your ideas. So many times when we are putting our own ideas, it is almost not out of the box. It is basically grounded to what others have done. So it gives a support to your research. For example, I can give you that if suppose I'm doing some indexing. Now if I'm doing an indexing or poverty index or disaster management index, that is my expertise. So what happens is in that, when I'm my index range is coming for the higher, high risk areas, my those type of range should somewhere match with other scholars in their area. So that is where the referencing supports my research. Also, referencing also allows others to identify the sources which we have used. The most important thing in any research has to be you have to be open. You have to openly tell where you are taking up things and what you are doing. That is what is the whole idea of research. Next slide. I think one slide is skipped. Okay. Yeah. Okay. References. Now, has anybody seen the references, or can anybody tell me what is in-text reference and reference list? Can we have a little interactive session? Otherwise, it will be very sleepy for everyone and for me. So, can anybody tell me what have you seen in a body of? Can we have a little cameras up? I'll also put up my camera. Yes. Divya, you're coordinating. Can you please help me with this? Can we have few people who can be a little interactive? So where all do we see referencing? Can anyone tell me?
Ma'am, we have seen in Wikipedia.
No. I'm talking about when we have a paper, okay, or when you read a book. Where all do you see references? At the last? In
Yes, yes, ma'am. At the last.
Always in the last, never in the beginning.
No, ma'am, but we cited
Ma'am, it's
literature.
no, ma'am. It's in the beginning also and in midway also.
Yes, it is in the beginning, it is in the middle, it is sometimes as footnotes, it is sometimes as you know, you have seen some foreign books where they have written their text and towards the side they put up the references. So there are many ways in which you will see references. Basically, when we do referencing, any referencing, there are two things which we refer, or two ways by which we refer. One is the in-text citation, and other is the reference list and bibliography. Now, in-text citation is whatever you are referring, you are parallelly citing it. Suppose I'm talking about disaster management, and I'm talking about what are the different types of disasters. So I'm referring few citations there. I'm referring somebody's work there. So I'm referring, putting citation there. Then I'm moving into what are types of disasters, or maybe what is flooding. Then again, I'm putting some different citations along the flooding within the body of the text. That is called in-text citations, and they are always short compared to the full reference. Whereas when we have done in-text citations, we move down and we create a list of references. Now, these list of references, when we say reference list, it is mandatorily the expansion of citations which we have used. It is never ever, you will see in any research paper where you have references other than the ones which are cited in your research paper. Isn't it? We all have seen all the research papers which are very short, around 10,000 words or 3,000 words. They will never have bibliography. They'll always have reference and in-text citations. Now, but then when we write thesis, or we write term papers, or we write dissertations, there we also include bibliography. Now, bibliography is something which is where you have some other reference material which you have referred, but you have not directly referred. Like, you have some audio records, you have some government records of some type, something. So all those materials which you have referred indirectly also comes under the references and bibliography. That is what is called bibliography. Okay, so bibliographies are never seen in research papers, but they are seen in your thesis. Is that clear, all of you? Okay. Is it really boring? I'll probably try to be a little more interesting. Okay. So we have, in text citation, which means within the text. Now, those in text citations we have seen in very, very different forms. We have seen numbers, we have seen text, or we have seen strings, or we have even seen the superscripts or footnotes. All those are in text citations. So next. One. Yes. So we now know that when we do referencing, there are two sections. One is within the text, and one is at the end. Now, I just want you to understand a very basic, which has been given in this YouTube video, which was taken from a university's website, where they are telling in very briefly what is citation or what is referencing. Can you please play this? Play this from the beginning. Actually, not audible, no? Is it audible to everyone?
No, it's not audible, ma'am.
Yeah. Can you please check this link on YouTube directly and play this? It's important. It's really good.
Ma'am, I'm playing it. Wait a minute.
at work? Grammarly can make your job one click simpler.
Notice that when you read Have you noticed that when you read academic papers, books, or reports, that they always include information about other authors' work and ideas? Whenever this happens, you'll see that a citation appears in the text. This citation might be a number, footnote, or some brackets which have the name of another author and a year inside. The purpose of the citation is to acknowledge that the idea, quote, statistic, or other information that has immediately gone before it has come from somewhere else. It also helps to show that the author has used other information to build their argument and differentiate between their own ideas and those of other people. Linked to the citation is a reference, usually at the end of the piece of work. The reference tells the reader everything about the other sources of information that have been cited in this work, so that if you wanted to, you could go and read these other sources in depth. Referencing and citations are important in academic work, and your tutors at Leeds will expect you to include them in your reports, essays, and other work that you create as part of your degree. If you don't include references and citations, you won't be able to show how much research you've done to inform your work, and you might be at risk of plagiarism. There are lots of different referencing styles, and at Leeds your school or faculty will tell you which style they would like you to use, and advise you on where to find instructions on how to use that style. You can get lots of advice and guidance on how to reference correctly at Leeds from the library website. And you can ask the library for help with referencing by email, telephone, or in person.
Yes. So this is a very, very crisp way of putting up why
Hello, my
referencing
name's
is
Sam.
important. Why referencing is important and what is there in referencing. I mean, what does referencing mean? So bottom line, it was told in this presentation or in that particular video that referencing could be in text or it could be complete reference at the end of the entire research. This is what we had discussed. Can you put up my presentation now? So can we go to next slide? The next slide is talking about the in-text citation versus referencing. Now, what is in-text citation? This is an example of my own paper, which I could put up. We do not have the numeric citation, but we have the alphabetical citation or text citation, in-text citation. In-text means within the text. So in-text citation is alphabetical, okay? And the referencing is again the alphabetical, where the citation is listed as per the the letters from ascending in an ascending order, okay? So whereas the in-text citation is non-alphabetical, but referencing is alphabetical. But what happens in the numeric citation? It is always number. The first citation which is used is always referred first. It is irrespective of the citation which is there at the it is not alphabetical at the end, but it is numeric in the in-text citation. Okay, so this is the list of all the. I think there are a lot of clicks which I had created. Does this have any click? Click it? No. Okay, so that was the difference between the citation and referencing. The citation has nothing to do with the references sequence. It is within the text, whereas references is either numerically or alphabetically put depending upon the in-text citation. Next. So we have different types of citations. I'm sure we all have come across situations where you have definitions which you cannot reframe. Okay, so those can be done as a citations as direct quotations for, or sometimes we have some definitions of or particular characteristics of some aspect which we cannot reframe. For example, in my case, when I was doing disaster management research, there were different types of rocks or soils which are there in my study area. I cannot redefine their properties or put it up in a different way. So what we did is I did it is use the quotations, direct quotations, where you can pick up the phrase of the person who has already written that and then give the citation besides that. Okay, So that is called direct citation. Can you just click? There are some clicks I created. Okay. Then we have the paraphrased material. Now we all know paraphrased material is what? For example, if you're reading a lot on a particular domain, or like the domain of climate change. Now there are a lot of people who are saying climate change is happening because of temperature changes. Now everybody is putting it differently. So when you try to paraphrase all these things, all three or four references together, and put it in your own words, or you take up a particular line and then paraphrase it through the tools or by yourself, and then put it the references besides it, that is called the paraphrasing material. Generally, when paraphrasing is done, we have three or two, minimum two, and maximum 4 to 5 citations, which are telling us that these people have concluded to the same fact, which becomes a established fact. Okay, so that is what is paraphrased material, and that is what we should check when we are doing our research, because so many times, when we are reading the paper, we want to write the same thing, but then that has been already written. So we just read one paper and we want to write it. No, that is not correct. You read the same thing about the same thing from the other sources and see what other people think about the same thing. And then, you conclude to certain line, or you create your own in your own right, in your own words. And in citation, you put three or four citations. That when you're referring a lot of papers, it tells that you have thoroughly gone through the fact which one person has stated, and other persons have also added to that. So basically, paraphrasing means that. Then another aspect or another way of doing citation is when you have to put up the statistical facts. Now, statistics is something which cannot change, which you cannot change. For example, here they have given sea level rises up to 67 centimeters by 2100. This is a established fact or a projected data which we cannot change. So that is why it has been used in quotation. And then besides that, you can have the referencing, which is not done here. Okay, so these are the different types of citations, where the direct citation is used when we want to tell about definitions or long established facts, and paraphrasing material is done when established facts through empirical studies or others' work is to be put up. And we use statistical, when we want to do citations of these statistics, which are facts and evidences with statistics, then again we use the quotations for putting up such ideas. Then the second section of this particular slide is talking about the in-text citation example and the bibliography reference. I have already, briefed that bibliography reference is not necessarily the one which is referred within the text, but bibliography means adding much more topics, or much more research papers or documents into the list of references, whereas in-text citation is always listed in bibliographic references, whereas bibliographic references might not be there in in-text citation. But references and in-text citation will always be, matching. There cannot be a single paper which is referred here and has not been cited in the text. Then the journal people, they tell you to remove those references. Okay, so next slide. Next, we will be talking about the citations and referencing systems. Now, citations, when we are talking about in-text citation, again, we have two ways of, putting up citations. One is parenthetical citation, and another is narrative citation. Now, have you ever come across literature review papers where they say that so and so particular author, like here they have written in example, Berkman and Glass 2000 defines social support as having an individual or group of individuals. So this particular way where you refer to a particular research and then put up that as the significant part of literature review, that is where you use the narrative citation primarily. Okay, where the author's name is included as the part of the sentence, followed by the year in parenthesis in the brackets. So that is narrative citation. Whereas in parenthetical citation, you put everything in bracket. Okay, that in that parenthetical citation, you do paraphrasing, and then you put everything in bracket. Like author's family name will come first, and followed by the year in which that paper is published. The example which is given here is Betterat 2006, Perrier ETL 2010. These are the references which this particular piece of research has referred to, and these are put into the parenthetical citation. Again, parenthetical citations can again be of two types. One is either through number, or the other is either through the alphabets. Okay, is that clear to everyone? Parenthetical citation and narrative citations. Next, we have the footnote citation. Again, we come across a lot of papers where we have the footnotes where everything is included within the paper and there is no separate reference at the end. We only have acknowledgements in such papers. Footnotes, which are sometimes just called as notes, are a note or a reference to a source of information which appears at the foot or bottom of each page. In a footnote referencing system, we indicate a reference by using superscript numbering followed by a source detail at footnote of each page. This is given in this particular image where they are talking that we have used footnote at the beginning, the footnote superscript in the paper, and the same thing has been given in the footnote where the complete citation is put up in the footnote. Now what happens when we are using this kind of citation? It is within the text and it is within the page. For example, if we take up a particular page and you have 5 footnotes in that, then those all the 5 footnotes would be there within that page. No footnote is carried over into the other page and it's superscript into the another page. This is the advantage. So we can refer within the page and we do not have to go again and again backwards. But then that it has some disadvantages. It actually increases the length of the paper because a lot of part of the paper published space goes into footnotes. Okay, next. Then again we have footnote and endnote. Now endnote is something where all the references are put up at the end. This is again similar to the numbering in-text citation, that is using the endnote system. I don't know if I'm clear, and probably it is afternoon, so if anybody is getting this, you can message me and tell me if you're not getting it, or you are probably feeling that it is going too fast. Okay. So footnotes and endnotes. Footnote means it includes superscript. For example, we had seen in the last this thing, whereas endnotes are always placed along the reference or quote, which we have seen in the numbering in-text numbering citation. Footnotes are located at the bottom of the foot of the page, whereas endnotes are located at the end of the section or chapter or book. It is similar to complete citation, alphabetical citation. Only difference here in endnotes is it is in the form of numbering. Chicago's style of referencing uses endnotes to some extent. Vancouver's style of referencing completely uses endnote citations or numeric citations. Endnote citations are also called numeric citations. Okay. The good part of footnotes is it lets readers see the sources and notes as they read, whereas the good part of the endnotes is it reduces distraction on the page, whereas the bad part or the con of the footnote is it interrupts the document flow since they take up a lot of space, as I've already told. And references in this part and note references are not accessible and the reader must search for another page section to find the reference. That means we have to, every time we want to see what reference or what book or what journal paper has been referred, we have to move back to the end of the paper to see it in detail. So this is what is difference between footnote and endnote. Next slide, we'll be talking about numeric citations, which is also sometimes footnote citations. Numeric citations is where the numeric reference list is not arranged alphabetically, but the list starts from the first reference to be cited in the text and then the second and so on. Okay. We put the number text to each item in the reference to make easier to cross reference within the text citations. Now, if you can see basically the numbers which have been referred in on the left side, numeric citations, like the first section which is green, which says 2-4, it means it is using 2 3, and 4. The other way of putting it up is 6-8 within the same bracket, which means 6-8. Okay. Now again 4-6, I can either you can use round brackets or square brackets. It doesn't matter. 6-8, 4-6. This is a way where you can directly refer 3 or 4 references in sequence. Okay. Sometimes you want to refer maybe separate citation, so you can say 2, 4, 6, 8, 7, whatever, side by side. So that is the advantage of numeric citations, that you can put it all together, unlike the alphabetic citation where you have to write the citation for each and every citation. Like you cannot put 2 to 4, 2, 3, 4. So 3 is understood. Whereas if you do alphabetic citation and you have 3 citations, they will come in the same format of alphabetic citation side by side. Okay. So that is the advantage here, but this is an obsolete fashion, and this is not used in most of the researches as of now, except for engineering. They are still used in IEEE, but they are not preferred in architectural research or social sciences research. We come into the social sciences category because we deal a lot with people, we deal a lot with management. That's why we come in the partly in the social sciences when we have to publish paper. And you are searching journals, you will find most of the journals which are related to planning or urban planning or urban this thing, they come in the management category. Okay. And when we see these numeric citations in the complete references, again, it is not based alphabetically, but it is based number wise, like the first citation, the second citation, the third citation, which has been used sequentially. Is that clear? Next. So basically, we know what is citation anchoring. By this time, we now know what is citation anchoring. Now, citation anchoring is when you are putting up more than one citation or more than one author citation. So we have numeric anchors and we have string anchors. String means letters. Okay. So citation anchors are of two types: numeric anchors, where you have plain format, and where you have superscript format. Plain format is where you have the number besides the text, and superscript format is where you have the number in the superscript format, where it is footnote, or those. In footnotes also we have range anchor and compound anchor. And in plain format also we have the single anchors, where we have single citations coming up, and then we have multiple anchors like 1, 2, 3 citations all together coming up. Similarly, in string citations, again we have single anchor citations, where you have author with year, and you have author without year, single author with or without year. And you have the short anchor, which is nothing but year, the citation with a small number. I mean, you don't have to put up the entire number. You have compound anchoring, and you have parts of speech which you put up again, like narrative citation. So this is all we have covered. It's just a chart where it has been briefly put up. Citation anchoring. Next, we are going to talk about the referencing style. Now, what is a referencing style? We all wonder, what is a referencing style? Why do we always keep talking about a referencing style? And what all should we refer? uh, or what all should we refer in the paper? So can anybody tell me what all do we refer in the paper? Suppose I want to write something. I have gone through a lot of study of different papers, articles, videos, audios. And so what all should I refer in my research paper or in that particular term paper? Can anyone tell me? Yes?
Anyone?
Ma'am, it could be books,
Yes, it could be both.
books,
It has to be
articles.
both. We come across a lot of data. No, what all data we refer? What all data we study? We study books, we study audio videos, we study, so many times we listen to videos, so many times we go through newspaper articles, which gives a spark to the research. So many times it is a book chapter, so many times it is journal paper, so many times it is the interviews which we have taken. We all do interviews on, and we send students for doing interviews and surveys. So many times survey data is there. So many times secondary reports are there. Government reports are there. White papers are there, which are nothing but reports. International reports are there. Blogs are there. A lot of things are there which we refer. So whatever we refer has to be referenced, and that is what is there in referencing. So what and where should we refer, and what is the way in which we refer? So far we have primarily seen referencing of books and journals and max to max newspapers, but then there's a lot more than this which has to be referred when you're doing your research. Next slide. So next slide tells us what is referencing, what is a referencing style. A referencing style, if we talk in terms of understanding it, is a standardized way of referencing your sources in the text and in the reference list. Okay. The one example is to use parentheses in the text with information about the author and the year of publication, which is nothing but APA style. Whereas another way in which we do referencing is where we put up numbers in the references, which is IEEE style of referencing. Now, this particular definition has been taken up from this site, which is given here. You can click that and you can go in detail with all the types of referencing styles there. Next slide is telling us what is the criteria of selecting the referencing system. Now, most of the time, if you are in universities, where you're affiliated to universities, when you are writing your thesis, there is a set format of thesis writing, isn't it? We all have, like I'm from IIT Roorkee and IIT Kharagpur, they have their own set of guidelines of referencing and writing paper, in-text citation, and the bibliography and references. They give the complete PDF or the Word file where we have the sampling of those things. It is mostly in the university that they have their own guidelines, which might take one or maybe two referencing styles together to create their own academic university referencing. Okay, the other way of selecting the referencing style is as per the journal. All the journals where you want to publish your paper have their own referencing styles. Some of them follow APA, some of them follow MLA style, some of them follow Chicago style, some follows Harvard style. So it depends on the journal in which you want to publish your paper. You have to do your referencing in that format. And the third thing is, when you are doing a particular report, or a particular way of your research is very specific or very unique, and you have certain specific aim and objectives, then probably some referencing style might suit to your way of putting up your information, or some referencing style might be really tedious. So the type of referencing style and selecting that depends a lot on what you are doing and where you are doing and where you are doing your research. Okay, so the next slide will be talking about the different referencing styles. Now, there are two ways in which referencing style can be, referred. One is as per the faculty of engineering or architecture or science or humanities, and another way is as per the style where all they are used. So the some of these styles which are in practice, like for most of the faculty of arts, Harvard and Chicago and MLA and APA styles are preferred, or they generally those kind of research papers generally use these kind of referencing. Business and economics have APA. Creative arts and industries, where we fall into, is mostly APA, Chicago and Harvard style, and MLA style. MLA style is not that much used now. It is used in literature primarily. Then we have education field, where we do not put up any education related articles, but at times we do. So we also fit into this. And we also fit into the engineering when we are doing the experiments and all. They primarily use Harvard and Chicago style. So I'm not going into detail of all the types of styles because it is too cumbersome, and it is very, it's no point in understanding or reading what we don't need. So we will come down to the most popular citation styles, which are four or five: citation style, MLA style, APA style, Chicago style, IEEE style. Vancouver style is not here. Vancouver style is also there, and CSE style. Mostly, MLA style is used in literature or foreign language communications, religious studies, whereas APA style is used in psychology, education, business, economics, medical sciences. Chicago style is used in history, art history, fine arts, anthropology, philosophy. So this is the style we mostly fit into. And IEEE is engineering, computer science, and information science. These two categories, as well as APA, we fit into. And most of the research papers which we publish as architects or planners, or statistical papers or experimental papers, fall under these type of referencing styles. I have also, forwarded some files of specific references, referencing styles. Each referencing style has a lot of things. All the type of references which you want to refer has been mentioned separately, and you have to refer each and every thing which you want to refer. So I forwarded three or four style. I forwarded Harvard, MLA, APA, and Chicago for your reference. You can use it when you're doing your referencing. Next slide. So after knowing so many referencing styles, so what do we see common in everything? That is, we need to have a for any citation or reference example citation to explain in text citation or parenthetical citation or end of text citations in anything. We need to have four or five things in common. One is the author, somebody who has done some work. We have to have a author to be referred. Okay. Then is the year in which that particular work has been done, or research has been done, or experiment has been done, or whatever. So somebody who has done, the year in which they have done, what is the title of their work, what is the volume, what is the source of their work, I'm sorry, source where they have put up their work. Either they have put it up as thesis, or they have put it up as book chapter, or they have published a book, or they have published an audio, or they have published in their vlog where they have published. So the source is important. Then when you are putting up the source, what is the volume or what is the edition of that particular source, volume and issue, since this is a journal citation, so this is us talking about volume and issue. Then page numbers, if if the data is vast, or you have a lot of book chapters, so what are the chapters page numbers. And DOI is nothing but digital object identifier, which is there in almost every paper where all the research has been documented or digitally given a unique number. Okay, each and every research paper is digitally given a unique number. So we have the DOI number through which we can identify the paper or search the paper on Google if you know the DOI of that particular reference. Next, we need to know what should we reference. Now we know that there are certain basic elements in each reference. Now when we are referencing, is are those basic elements present in each and every type of reference which we do? So for that we need to know what are the references which we want to refer. One is books, as we mostly refer the books either in the print format or the electronic format. Most of the time nowadays the books are online, so that is where we have the electronic format of the books. A little bit variation is there from the print format to electronic format, but not much variation is there. Then we have the print and electronic format of journal articles. So many times we refer the web pages. Okay, we all don't know actually how to refer the web pages or cite the web pages. Even I do a lot of mistakes when I did it a lot of mistakes when I was earlier using web pages for citation. Simply what we do is we copy the link and we put it up in references. No, that is not the correct way. That is not what is the way of referencing web pages. So we have different style managers which can tell how to do the referencing of web pages. Then so many times corporate referencing, we need email references also. I have not used email references so far. Probably some citation managers have email referencing, so you can take a look into that. Then we have conference papers, newspaper articles, which very commonly we refer. We can also refer the videos, films, audio tapes, records. They again have their identification number, and from that number you can refer them in your references. Then some data published in repositories or pamphlets or blogs nowadays, we can say, all these data are referenced. Then we have government reports, white papers, and government documents, internet and TV broadcast, interviews of persons or groups, theses, and other unpublished work, if at all. So these are the broad 95% of the information comes from these areas or these particular sections of references or whatever we refer either of these only most of the time. There's hardly any other source where which we refer. Okay, so now we know what is to be referred. Next, we will see what all can be referred. Again, given this particular slide is made to give you an example where different types of references are done within a style, APA style. Okay, APA is a style of referencing which is bibliographic citations are listed for books, for edited books, for dissertation, for journals, sorry, for magazines, newspapers, ED documents, and interviews. So this is how they are referred in APA style. They all have their guidelines. So each of the referencing style has guidelines of 20-30 pages, and you can probably refer that and you can check what type of referencing you can do is with your document. Okay, with whatever style you are following. Next. So again, another example of Harvard reference style where the journal, website, and newspaper and book citations are done in Harvard referencing style. Okay, next. I had actually added a slide a few minutes back above this, that what are the different types of referencing style. From this line onwards, we will understand a very, very broad understanding of what are 4 or 5 referencing styles which are most commonly used. So we have APA referencing style. What is APA? We keep calling APA. APA is nothing but American Psychological Association, APA referencing. Now, APA stands for American Psychological Association and comes from the same. APA uses a parenthetical citation containing author and date. In the in-text citation, they use parenthetical citation, which is given as an example. They use author, date, and page numbers. But then if we don't have page numbers mentioned anywhere in the document, then we can also use as author and date. That is author and year of publication, author's surname basically. Although APA was originally used for psychological journals, it is now widely used in education, social sciences, and other disciplines. Whereas the full citation in APA consists of author's name, then author's surname, then their name as initials, and then the year of publication, then the title of the article which you have referred, the subtitle of the article, the edition in which you have referred, and the publisher, or this is probably the book, so they have written it in this format. Next, this is taken from one of the universities in Australia, this referencing style detail. Next slide is talking about the MLA style. MLA is nothing but Modern Language Association. It was developed by the Modern Language Association and is especially popular in language and literature studies. Literary studies as in the literature, English literature or some sort of literature studies. Then MLA uses parenthetical citations with author and page numbers. They give least preference to the year of publication. You will see in their in-text citation, they have the author and the page number, as well as in their main citation or their complete reference also they have the year at the last. What is important in their main citation is the author, book title, or the journal title, or the article title, then journal title, then they have the date published, they have the page numbers, they have the database, DOI, and accessed on which date. Whereas in case of book, if you will see, it is the author, book title, the publisher, and at the end you have the number or the year of the publication. So in the previous style, year was given significance, and in the in-text citation we had year, whereas here we do not have an year, we have page number, and in the end we have the year of publication. Next is the Chicago style of referencing. Now, Chicago style of referencing was primarily developed for theses, research papers, or the universities. So Chicago style, also known as Turabian style, comes from the Chicago Manual of Style. So I remember we have used Chicago style of manual style of referencing in our master's in city planning thesis. I very clearly remember, because we were focused over and over to use the Chicago style. It is actually the simplified version of a manual of for writers of thesis, term papers, and dissertation. This particular book was written by Kate Turabian, who's the originator of this particular style of referencing in 1937, and it has gone through a lot of editions. So presently, 15th edition is available on online or on sale. I'm not very sure. You can check with that, and you can refer that for the complete Chicago manual style. It is mainly used in social sciences, including history, political study, and it is mostly used in the universities, or preferred by universities in their theses, term papers, and dissertation mostly. Okay, Chicago style is again author date style. In their parenthesis citation, they use the author date style. That is the author and the year. So the citation in the in-text consists of the author's surname and the year of publication given in round brackets. It includes page, chapters, or section numbers preceded by a comma in their main citation. Okay, no distinction is made between the books or journal articles or internet documents and other format except the electronic documents that do not have page numbers. So the format of citation is same whether you're referring book or you're referring a journal article, which is the same. Whereas in the previous two referencing styles, you have a little different citation style when you come to refer different sources of references. Okay, so here you can see at the bottom, you can see you have the author surname and the year and the page numbers as your in text citation, whereas your complete citation again has the author's years, title, edition, and place of publication or publisher. Next, again, Chicago style has two types of users, or there are two types of Chicago style. Chicago A, which uses footnote for referencing. Chicago style is published in Chicago Manual of Style. There are two varieties. Chicago A, you cite in a footnote or endnote, okay, where you have the format is numbering, the numbering in superscript or numbering besides the text. Next, and the B category, where you use the parenthetical author date citation in the text, and the same thing is followed in the complete citation. So we already know what is the numerical citation and what is the alphabetical citation or parenthetical citation by this time. So Chicago style can be used both ways. Next is the Vancouver style. Next, so we have Vancouver style, which originally came from International Committee of Medical Journal Editors, which produced the uniform requirements of manuscripts submitted to biomedical journals. Following a meeting that was held in Vancouver in 1978, where this style generated, the Vancouver style is used mainly in the medical sciences, or most of the medical journals still use Vancouver style. If you have ever referred a medical paper, you will see this style is still used. Individual references or the in-text citations are given in abbreviated format by numbers, which is shown here below the text. That in-text citation is usually in the form of numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, the numeric citation in brackets, or in superscript, or by name and year. Okay, so it can be a combination of superscript and the numeric citation. Besides the reference, it can be used both ways. Okay, next. Yeah, Vancouver style generally provides, see, the in-text citation is always a number, whereas those numbers are given, the sequence of the number is followed for the complete citation, where we have the author's title, subtitle, edition, and this is the format or in which the article is cited as complete reference. Okay. Next, we have the Harvard style. Very well talked about Harvard style. Harvard came originally from the Blue Book, a uniform system of citation published by the Harvard Law Review Association. The Harvard style and its many variations are used primarily in law. Harvard is primarily famous for its law school. So they have a lot of work done and they have developed a lot of research, and that is from them only this particular referencing style came, and it is used in law, natural sciences, social and behavioral sciences. We most of the time in publications which we do, like the publication which I have done uses Harvard style. I have done in disaster management or the management journals. They nowadays use Harvard style or they use APA style. Chicago style is very rarely used these days. So, uh, yeah, where was I? How to cite a journal article in the Harvard format is again you have the author's name, title of the article, title of the particular journal, and then you have the volume and so on. It is similar to your MLA style. A very little difference is there. Okay, next. IEEE referencing style. This is primarily used in the engineering, all the engineering research publications, electrical, electronics, and different branches of engineering, computer sciences, information technology. And they have a set format. It was founded in 1884. And IEEE style is numbered referencing style. That is, it uses the numeric referencing style that uses citation numbers within the paper. These numbers are placed between square brackets and is written in the same line as the idea of the text that cites another author's work. Okay. So again, when we talk about the numeric citation, the format of citing is same. So the same thing has been given below the text in this slide. Next. Yes. So again, in triple IE referencing style, this is an example which tells that how a book is referred in triple IE, where you have the author's initials, author's surname, publication, year, and publisher. Year is at the last. So the example is given here. I think it is cut down, so you're not able to see, but then you can check it online. Okay, and the other different types of sources which have been referred or cited in IEEE style, the books, the e-books, the online paper journal articles, where you are putting up your complete web address when you have access, especially when you are referring to newspaper articles. You should know, you should put the date of accessing the particular newspaper article. It is with all the styles where you have to put the access date. Okay, when you are referring thesis or dissertation, then you have to put the catalog from which you have referred. If you are putting journal article, then the format is similar to the MLA style. Next. So the keywords which we come across in the entire referencing is the summary, paraphrasing, and quote. So if we ask what is a summary, summary is briefly which captures the main ideas of your sources. When you are putting up everything you have read a lot and you're creating your own storyline, then that is called the summary. That is that could be empirical studies, or it could be summary of the entire paper which you are publishing. The paraphrase is a reinstatement of the text of your source in your own words. As we have discussed, quotations can be direct using quotation marks or indirect, no quotation marks, and often introduced by that. Okay, we'll come across this. A noted psychologist states that, and then they have put in the quotation. All right. So this is a way of referencing. Next. Again, periodicals generally have to have the DOIs and the source information or the date accessed. So this is an example where most periodical citations have the author, date, title, source information, and DOI. And this is how they are referred. Mostly in almost all the type of referencing style, the format is similar. Okay, next. Yes, what is DOI? So we all know that all the papers have DOI. The journals which are registered with DOI, they all give you a DOI. So many journals which are not Scopus indexed or indexed, Scopus indexed, or sometimes they are not even Scopus indexed, they do have registered with DOI, and DOI number is given to them. A DOI is nothing but digital object identifier, which is a number, is a string of numbers, letters, and symbols used to uniquely identify an article or document and to provide it within a permanent web address. A DOI will help your reader easily locate a document from your citation, or even on, for that matter, on web. So all the good journals, almost all the good journals which are under the Scopus and Web of Science or SCI index databases, they have all of them 100%. But then there are certain journals which are not registered or which are not even under the Scopus database. They also have DOI numbers. Okay, So this is how DOI number is important, and you can identify your particular research paper using DOI. Next. Yes, so we now need to know or what is the difference between the different referencing style. So can you click on this hyperlink? This is going to lead us back to the different slide. Yes. So the difference between each and every citation style lies in the fact that where we are using. So this particular slide, which was put up in the beginning, is telling us the same thing. These styles are followed where and why they are followed there is because they are developed by those particular research bodies only. So they are primarily adapted to their needs and requirements. So going back to the slides of reference manager, slide number 36. Yeah, reference manager. Yes, what is a reference manager? Now, what happens is before putting up this particular slide, I would like to, understand or ask you all that when you're doing references, you have to, when we initially start, when we do not know about reference managers or we are first time users or first time researchers, what we do is we write down in our notebook what we have referred, which article we have referred, and then we write the link of that article in our Word document or Excel sheet that, okay, we have referred this, we have referred this, we have referred this. We'll use it later on, So that is where you need to manage your references. You are referring so many things, but then at the end of the, your complete reading, we end up forgetting what we have referred, and there is a lot of mess. Then which reference to refer where is again a big confusion when you are a first time researcher. Therefore, for that ease, the reference managers have been, evolved, or they have come into existence. Next slide, please. So citing and managing references. Why do we need to manage reference? Is because collecting, reading, and integrating these references into manuscript in a time is really a time-consuming process. And reference managers have facilitated this process and have made this process very easy. Now, to help manage all the research articles and studies that scientists shift from daily through daily. I'm sorry, there's some mistake in writing this. There are citation managers that help organize papers. Among them, the most common citation managers are Mendeley, Zotero, EndNote, ReferenceWorks, RedCube, which has not been mentioned here. So these are very, very popular referencing managers, and I'm sure you are using one of them. If not these, go back. Can you please go back? And I'm sure if you're not using one of these, then probably you are using the Word inbuilt reference manager, or maybe you are using the your Google reference manager. We all use that. Okay, so what does these or what are the different types of reference managers? We have the spreadsheets or the Googles. The simplest way which we ask to all our research scholars is to put their references in Google spreadsheet under different categories, and their links and all the data of the research papers, or we write it manually through in the text format or through reference managers, or there are online referencing tools which where you put up the title of the paper, and then they will reference that and they will give you the citation ready. Then we have free citation generators. Those are also a part of that, or online referencing systems are also there. Then you have the Microsoft Docs or Google Docs where you can use those referencing. Then the most commonly used, as we discussed, the referencing managers are Spreadsheet, Mendeley, EndNote, Zotero, ReferenceWorks, mybib.com, Google Scholars. Has anybody used Google Scholar for citation? Can anyone tell me? Have you used Google Scholar for citation? Do you know how to cite from Google Scholar? Anyone? Yes? Nobody has used Google Scholar for citation? Okay, I guess no. So let us talk
Ma'am,
about
I have used it.
You have used?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you use the Google Scholar for
Ma'am, there
citation?
is a double colon given.
Yes,
in the bottom of
exactly.
his.
There is a double colon given where you can import it to your particular reference manager, or you can directly cite in text citation as well as the complete citation from your Google Scholar. Very nice. Yes, that is there. So, talking about the different reference managers, we have EndNote, which is primarily used. EndNote is nothing but a tool for managing and publishing bibliography. All of them are basically the tools only. So, we'll go to the next slide. I'll try to list these reference managers individually. So these are the other reference managers which are very popular all across now. Mostly we use Meanly. I myself use Meanly and Zotero, which are very good. But then there are other citations managers or reference managers, out of which we have the Bibsonomy, which is very popular. Then we also have here Papers Online. This is popular with the Mac version of the probably Mac version. It is more popular. Then we have uh, reference works. Yeah, we do use Zotero and Meanly is what I have been using, so I know about them. Redcube is automatically when you put up your paper. Now, some of the journals are linked to Redcube, and the paper which you have sent for publishing, they put the draft copy of it into it also. So this is again a very good source where you can also see the papers in transition. Next slide. Yes, there are some other new ones which I have listed. These are all reference manager. Vizfolio, which is again a reference manager which is used somewhere, and I've never seen this. But then these are some reference managers which are used across. Next. So EndNote is again a bibliographic citation management software that allows us to maintain a personal library or references and citation. Now there is a lot of advantage with EndNote is that you can import your file into your library and you can sync it you to your online database. So we can import a lot of data from EndNote reference manager also in citation. Sometimes we don't have the paper, we can read the paper but we cannot download the paper, so that papers also you can cite on EndNote. Next. Meanly is very popular. Meanly I use myself. They attach their database, on through your system, as well as they sync the database. Their online space is provided, and it is also software where you can do some editing or writing, or probably you can do some sort of work on your research papers, and that also can be imported. Like suppose I have highlighted certain areas, I can highlight or bring those highlighted areas into my text, and then with references, and then I can use that information. So this is very good part. You can do a lot of reference. Other than referencing also, you can do a lot of work in Meanly. The only disadvantage with Meanly is that it does not have a lot of online database access to online databases. To not many databases it has. I think it doesn't have access to Web of Science databases. So online Meanly has some limitations, but overall it is much better software to organize. You can directly import your citations into your paper wherever you have to install a plugin into your Word, Microsoft Word, and then from there, if you click Meanly referencing, the particular reference come in short citation as well as in the complete bibliographic reference citations, referencing, full referencing. So that is a very big advantage, and it comes in the sequence in which you are using. Suppose you have missed out some citation somewhere and you are inserting it after the complete paper has been added, it will automatically adjust the complete citation list at the end, or reference list, as per the citation which you have inserted. Okay, so that is an advantage with Meanly. Next. Zotero is again a very good software, which is an open source reference manager, and it has a lot of databases attached to it. So we can also use Zotero for referring different papers through the Zotero libraries, and it can be brought into in-text citations also, and it can be transported or it can be imported into the other libraries. I have not used Zotero much, but then Zotero is whatever my bibliographic references, which I do not have the complete paper, can be imported in Zotero and can be seen, which was not possible in Meanly for my complete citation list. So they have a lot of other advantages. Next. The links, I have given a lot of links there. You can click those links to refer these software or download these software. These are easily available online. Reference work is an inbuilt citation in the Microsoft Manager or Microsoft Word. In some countries it is not. So we have a add-in which is provided in the Word document, and you can download this reference work and you can directly refer manage your citation in your Word document. Nowadays, we have, for almost all of them, we have the plugins for each software to be incorporated or integrated in the Word document when we are writing it. Okay, for Meanlay, we have the web plugin also, where you can directly import from web pages. Also, you can directly import from the Meanlay software. Or we have, for laptops or computers, we have Meanlay desktop, and for phones, we have Meanlay phone version. So that way, it is little easy to refer the database. Next. Yes, so citations using Google Scholar, as some of you already know that we can cite the citations using Google Scholar. There's one catch in this: when we are referring papers in Google Scholar, which has a database in itself, we should always refer the papers which have been cited many times, because those are the papers which are really good, and that is why they have been cited many times. So this is a piece of information which probably your research guide will tell you, that please refer the papers first, those which are very many times referred. Okay, next slide. Again, we can cite or we can check within the references in Google Scholar. That facility is also provided. So that is one thing. Next. Then Google Scholar, we have, as she was telling, we have the colon, and we can click on that, and then we can cite the reference in different referencing styles. Okay, MLA, APA, Chicago, Harvard, or Vancouver, or we can take it, or we can also import it to the BibTeX, EndNote, export it to BibTeX, EndNote, Reference Manager, or Reference Work, whichever you are using. These are mostly associated with Google Scholar. Next. Yes, some websites or some particular companies have done a comparative assessment of the different softwares, most commonly used software, which is EndNote, ReferenceWorks, Zotero, and then they have done a comparative assessment. Cost-wise, if we see, Zotero and Meanlay and ReferenceWorks are free, and EndNote is also free in our country. At least it is free. It is not. It does not have any cost. And if we see the storage wise, we have more storage, online storage, which is provided by ReferenceWorks, and Meanlay provides a lot of storage. Their cloud storage is more. So it really gives an edge, because you can store a lot of papers when you are doing your PhD or research. You end up reading a lot and lot, and you start, I have started categorizing a lot of categories, in which I started and adding up my papers. So what Meanlay used to do, Meanlay also showed me if I have added the same paper in different categories, duplicacy, so I could remove the duplicate paper. So a lot and lot of data, when you start referring, 5 GB, 2 GB is way too less when you start your references. So that is one thing. Next. Again, some comparative assessments by some organizations or institutions who are using different software, and in this particular, you can see they have given I have not seen this software and I'm not aware of this, but then they have given it the full text. Probably this is better. And then the next most significant software which comes out is the Meanlay. So I think Meanlay is what we can use to start with, and eventually you come across a lot of softwares. Again, another web source has compared them with respect to different parameters. So I think this is a very a specific and subjective part, because what we use is what we need is what dependent on what we are using or what type of papers we are using, which has which type of database. Okay, next. Plagiarism. Now, the most important thing, which you have also been hearing in the entire presentation throughout so far, as well as in this presentation, it holds the great significance, because we do referencing to primarily avoid plagiarism. Okay. So plagiarism is what? Plagiarism is means to deliberately take and use other person's work, uh, use another person's invention, idea, or writing, and claim it directly or indirectly as your own. This was told by this particular researcher in their research paper in 1982, when it was identified that, so then the work has been used and plagiarized. so many times what we understand is we do not plagiarize intentionally. It happens because some way, even if you're paraphrasing, see, if you will paraphrase a particular piece of article on a Google or on Quillbot is the most commonly used online paraphraser tool. And if you will put it on that, a lot of people are using the same thing. So sometimes it matches and it goes into plagiarism. So many times we end up using only one person as a reference to a particular fact, which is again incorrect. So what happens is that particular style of writing is very unique to that person. If you're not referring a lot of papers, you will end up doing plagiarism. Okay, plagiarism help, you have to avoid plagiarism, and to do that you should know what all is there in that particular domain, in that particular article which you are reading. Please don't base your entire research or paper based on 2 papers or 3 papers. It makes no sense. You can do snowballing research or snowballing search in your references, that you should always refer the references of the good research papers, because that gives you access, and that already sieves the paper for you, which you would be doing on Google Scholar or on the softwares. They already sieve it and they put it in their references, so you can use that as your base. So that gives you an edge. So please refer those papers first before putting up your article based on 1 or 2 articles. Next. So to avoid plagiarism, what you should do, use plagiarism checkers. We mostly have Turn It software in universities, but then it is licensed software. There are some free softwares also available online, but I would prefer and I would suggest you go on Turn It, because you can remove your data which you have checked as plagiarism for plagiarism. Once you check any data for plagiarism online, it adds that data to your database. Next time if you will check it on the same checker, you will find the entire document of yours as plagiarized. So you should always use the licensed version, which you can delete the data from the database after checking your plagiarism quantum. Then you should be citing the sources to avoid plagiarism. Each and everything, please read carefully, because somebody or someone has already mentioned somewhere. So please give them credit. It's always nice to give others credit rather than taking the credit, their credit. Create unique content by rephrasing, by writing summaries. You can create the content. You can take up four five papers each time, and you can write the summaries. It is not that difficult. It's just that you have to sit down with those papers and write summaries. So I think it's possible. And quote and paraphrase where it is not possible to change the words or paraphrase or summarize that. Then you can use the quotations or paraphrasing tool to paraphrase that. Next. I think that is all for the day. So do we have questions?
Participants, if you like to ask something, you can ask by unmuting yourself, or either you can type in the chat box.
Yeah, I think you can raise your hands and then you can ask the question to Madam. She's there, and she'll be directly interacting with you.
Yes, you can ask the question. Sure.
Wow, that was awesome, ma'am. Thank you so much for citing all this.
Thank you for all the
And
appreciation.
thank you again. So, मैम मैम मेरा एक क्वेश्चन ये है कि फॉर एग्जांपल वी आर राइटिंग आवर पीएचडी पेपर, उसमें से चैप्टराइजेशन हम लोग करते हैं लाइक 1.1 1.2 एंड ऑल. उस चैप्टर का एक पार्ट हमें आर्टिकल में लेना है. फॉर एग्जांपल कुछ भी है, आप टैंजिबल एंड ऑफ बिल्ट इन्वायरमेंट, उस पर मैंने आर्टिकल लिखा, उसको गूगल स्कॉलर पे पब्लिश किया या कहीं भी पब्लिश किया, तो क्या जब मेरी पीएचडी का वो पूरा फाइनल में जब जाएगा तो क्या वो प्लेगरिज्म में आ जाएगा? आई मीन आई एम द ऑथर, आई एम एवरीथिंग.
Yes.
वो पूछना
Yes,
था.
that will come into self plagiarism. वो क्या होता है? Self plagiarism क्या होता है? When you have published something, it becomes the copyright of the publisher. right? It becomes the copyright of the entire set of system under which you are published. So if you want to refer that paper, even if it is your own ideas, but then it might be possible that you might be publishing it at many places. ओके ऐसा भी होता है ना, हमारा ही काम है, हम दूसरी जगह क्यों नहीं पब्लिश कर सकते? सो व्हाट इज द पॉइंट इन पब्लिशिंग इनटू द रिसर्च बॉडी व्हेन द सेम रिपीटेटिव वर्क इज डन? See, the person or the particular reference manager or system, they don't know that you are the one who's using your own data, right? So many times your data is repetitive, and the repetitiveness of the research has to be avoided by removing the self plagiarism. You can refer your own papers, we all have done that. When we publish, we cannot use them in our thesis without referring.
सो मैम क्या लिखेंगे? लाइक मैंने एक चैप्टर पब्लिश कर दिया एज एन आर्टिकल, तो उसको जब पीएचडी वाले में डालेंगे तो उसमें कैसे, क्या मतलब वही सेम चीज लिखेंगे? टाइटल, ऑथर, ईयर?
नहीं, आप जब अपना व्हेन यू नो पुटिंग अप योर ओन चैप्टर में बहुत सारी डिटेल्स आती हैं. 5 पेज का पेपर या 10 पेज का पेपर एक चैप्टर नहीं होता है. A chapter consists of at least 30-40 pages each chapter. ठीक है, दैट मीन्स यू हैव टू ऐड अ लॉट ऑफ अदर इन्फॉर्मेशन. आपने उसमें लिटरेचर रिव्यू कम किया होगा, आप अपना लिटरेचर रिव्यू एक्सपैंड करिए. योर एम एंड ऑब्जेक्टिव्स यू हैव टू एक्सपैंड, व्हिच यू हैव नॉट मेंशन्ड देयर. आपने जो मेथोडोलॉजी यूज किया है, यू कैन ऐड लिटिल मोर डिटेलिंग ऑफ दैट मेथोडोलॉजी. यू कैन से इट हैज बीन पब्लिश्ड इन सो एंड सो research paper. You are using the same methodology. You can add more details to it. So that is where your self plagiarism will go. And जो आपने publish किया है, वो same paper उसी same format में या same particular methodology में और भी लोगों ने publish किया है different study area पे. Okay, so you can include those things in your literature review. You can use your paper in your literature review. You can detail out your methodology.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Anybody else? Okay, so it seems
Sleepy
no one
session.
else?
It seems a sleepy session, Shubhra.
No,
Nahi,
not at all.
it was really wonderful having you, Neha, and really it was very detailed out, very symbolic, and very, very extensively I mean, you have shown everything schematically, diagrammatically in your slides, what type of referencing, how, and I mean, this type of in-depth knowledge about referencing and citations, I mean, it's really a very excellent presentation that we had in terms of the quantum and the area of coverage, and of course the quality. So really thank you. Yes, Ekta is thanking you for your extensive presentation and wonderful presentation, and so am I on behalf of the organizers. Thank you, Neha madam, and we will be again in touch with you in the next morning, the early session, with probably a cup of tea or coffee.
Yes,
So it's like, we have virtual tea coffee every day. So things have got online. So thank you once again, and over to you, Divya.
Yes, but I just want to add what sir has said, that you have told us about all the possible research managers. Usually we know 1 or 2 reference manager, but in depth you have introduced whatever possible reference manager at present you have introduced us. So it might be confidence to the participant, at least use it and choose from all the plethora of the reference manager which is present, and choose wisely as their requirement. I thank you so much, ma'am, for your sharing your knowledge and expertise on reference manager.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. And now I think we come to the end of this session, and yes, many other participants are also extensively giving you thanks for your informative presentation. And so we come to the end of the session today on the day 4, and we are nearing to the end of this FDP with one more day to go. And probably by this time tomorrow, we will be finishing off this FDP, and things will wrap up. So tomorrow, I think we have 3 sessions again.
Yes,
Yeah,
we have 3
and
sessions and 1 test.
yeah, the first session will be taken by Dr. Neha Bansal again, Neha Madam, and the second session will be taken by
Arindam.
Dr. Arindam, Arindam Biswas from he's from IIT Roorkee, and the third session will be taken by, I think,
Shubhranshu. Shubhranshu.
Dr. Shubhranshu Goswami, regarding your IPR patent, and with him he will be having a corporate lawyer who is there, uh, who will be also giving you the insights and in depths of the technical and legal parameters of filing a patent and so on. So tomorrow will also be, hopefully, we'll have an eventful day throughout the day, right from 10 o'clock. And it's my kind request to all of you to please log in at 10 o'clock itself, because see, the thing is that if you get late, you come online. Actually, it disturbs the participants and the speaker, because there is a tongue continuous, something goes on, and it's actually distraction of this thing. So when you have committed yourself for this program, please be committed. That's my request. Of course, there may be other issues, but it coming in time is one of the major disciplines that we should maintain as a researcher as well. So thank you once again, and over to you, Divya, for the closing part.
Yes, for the concluding this session, I would like to thanks all the speaker and participant for making this 4th day of FDP successful. I just wanted to remind you all, please attend last session, last day of our FDP, and test especially, which is mandatory for getting an e-certificate. And thank you once again. See you all tomorrow.
And one more thing, just before you leave, I would like to also add up is that tomorrow, after the second session, you will be receiving 2 links in Google Form. One link will be for your test, which will be activated only after the end of the 3rd session. And the second form will also be activated after the end of the valedictory session, which is regarding the feedback of this FDP. So it is mandatory, and we would make it an mandatory requirement for all the participants registered for the FDP to fill up both the forms and submit by 6:30 p.m., which or 1.5 hours. So it's 1 hour of test and 1.5 hours of test and your feedback. It's not a very big form. This form helps us to assess ourselves as coordinators and also as speakers. So it's more of the coordination part of the thing. So it's a regular mandate that we have this feedback form from you. So that's all. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.